Has Harry been programmed? Let's take a moment to think about pre-Harry's wife, Harry. Yes, what was the ginger chap like back then? He was certainly seen as more helpful. He had ostensibly a good relationship with his father, with his grandmother. Think about when he did the Obama mic drop with his grandma and the closeness that he exhibited with the Queen. Contrast that with how he treated her in the latter days of her life. Had a good relationship with his brother. You might have watched the video where William and Harry, or Spike and Willie, or Harold, whatever names you want to be calling them, are engaging in some solid bants in relation to flying helicopters and planes and all of this, the RAF versus the Army. Excellent banter between the brothers royal. It shows the affection they have and the way that they can knock along. The way that Harry back then knew that he was engaging in a bit of action with the Archbishop of Banterbury, that he was being a Bantosaurus Rex. He wasn't there whinging about his necklace being snapped or falling on a dog bowl. He recognised this is what goes on between brothers. His thought process hadn't been changed, had it? You watch that video, I think they're in an aircraft hangar, and watch the banter flowing back and forth between the two of them, good-natured, ribbing one another, taking the piss. But it's banter. It's what goes on between brothers. He had a great relationship with his sister-in-law. He had his little crush on her, looked up to her, wanted somebody like her. He, most of the time, looked happy. He liked claiming off to Africa and doing good works there. He felt at home there. His overall demeanour was one far improved. He supported his family, and he supported the institution to which he'd been born into. Yes, we know that the man had some problems with the loss of his mother, but he didn't bang on about it anywhere near as much as he now does. We know that he's evidently faced some challenges, that we know that he has some strong narcissistic traits, and they occasionally came to the fore. But he didn't behave in a self-centred, self-absorbed, nasty fashion in the past that he does now. He supported the institution. He wanted to belong to it. He saw the value of it. Now, he hasn't spoken with his family for quite some time, essentially having been ostracised. Worse than that, he spent a considerable amount of time writing about his family in unsettling and unpleasant terms, and then going around and repeatedly talking about it. He's poured scorn on the institution of the royal family. He's labelled his family as racist, then claimed that they're not racist and that it was unconscious bias. He can't even get the word salad correct. He claimed he was trapped. He's pursued celebrity. He's become a world-class whinger. He doesn't look happy. And moreover, he now spouts word salad. And quite simply, it is as if he now sees everything about his past life, everything about it was wrong. Racist institution, racist, crass friends. That he was involved in a world that he didn't know. It's as if everything that went on before he's been told was wrong. That he was part of this colonial machine that wasn't doing the right thing. That it wasn't being authentic. That it wasn't serving, that he was trapped, that his family were laughing at him, that they were taking the piss out of him by placing him as spare, that he didn't actually have a good relationship with his brother at all. His brother was obsessed with the throne and was always casting aspersions on Harry, that his father wasn't bothered about him at all. In actual fact, his grandma didn't look out for him and stand up for him when apparently there was an argument. He's been told that many of the memories that he has were wrong. He's been told that new memories have been forged, but he doesn't realise. He's been told that his recollection of events should be seen through a different lens, a different viewpoint, that has caused him to shift in order to placate and appease his captor, Harry's wife. He quite simply looks at the world completely differently, speaks a new language, The terms that he comes out with sit uncomfortably in his mouth, and you can see that with what's been appearing in Spare as well, those aren't his words. They're a combination of those of the ghostwriter, where it's particularly articulate, and where it's the wishy-washy beigeness of wokedom. It comes from Harry's wife. It's quite clear that Harry has been reprogrammed. How was this done? Well, first of all, it was necessary to ensnare him in the first place, which was, of course, to make it appear like he was cared about, give him plenty of spicy poontang, and, of course, utilise his vulnerabilities against him with regard to the continued wound of his mother's death. But more than that, he had to be removed. He had to be removed from the relative safety of an organisation that had always looked out for him, where he had fucked up in the past, and it had sought to protect him and largely had done so. But instead, that protection was now painted as being something that was cloying, something that was controlling, in order to actually control him. To tell him he was being controlled so he no longer noticed that he was actually being controlled by something else. He was removed from the influence of family. He was removed from influence of friends, the work that he enjoyed, the country that he lived in, the things that were familiar to him. Everything that he held dear was slowly stripped away from him piece by piece. He then, having been stripped away from these supposedly malign influences, was then tied to his captor, moved to another country, her people, not all of the good folk of the United States, but rather a particular mindset of individuals in the area that she lived, one that she didn't actually really belong to, but aspired to belong to, issuing claptrap with regard to ridiculous concepts of supposed self-improvement, which were really all about hypocrisy, of telling other people how to live their lives. Worshipping at the altar of the gods of sex and money. Being tied to the captor as a consequence of children, to the extent that you accept that they exist. Being given obligations, a household to pay for, security to pay for, PR to pay for. And then as a consequence of being removed from the very things that had a good influence over him, and he was then tied through obligation and responsibility to the very thing that was now controlling him, he had his value system reset. Who did this? His wife, undoubtedly a therapist, possibly his mother-in-law, and those members of his wife's coterie. Those individuals have acted in tandem to fill Harry's head with nonsense, to make him believe that everything he knew before was wrong, evil, contradictory, unpleasant, not helping him, guilting him into ensuring that he swallowed the tablet of therapy speak. To do so was necessary in order to protect his wife, in order to protect his children, that he became slave to a new mantra of inner health, inner peace, all the while failing to realise that the very medicine that he thought he was being given is in fact a poison. Harry has been reprogrammed. There is no doubt about it. And it is probably one of the most obvious cases on the world platform of it happening, where a narcissist has got hold of somebody and then, in tandem with other individuals, ensuring that he's reinforced with the diet of mindset, behaviours, outlook, so that he lives and breathes what she wants him to live and breathe, that there are no benign influences that can interrupt this brainwashing and reprogramming. Harry has been turned into something that he is not, and he simply does not realise that it has happened. This, of course, is common with narcissists, but this is a particularly obvious and high-profile example. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.